So good afternoon. Thank you for joining me for this presentation on renumbering in Revit. My name is Colton Haney. I'm a senior MEP technical specialist here at ATG. And before we get started, just you guys know if you have a question or a comment, I will be monitoring the chat throughout the presentation. So if you just want to drop those in there at any time, I will try to answer them as best I can as they come up, or at least let you know that we'll be covering that shortly. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. In today's webinar, I'd like to discuss the pain points of manually having to renumber different items in a Revit project. We'll take a look at the renumbering tool, learn what it is, what it can do. We'll learn how the user interface works. And then we'll also give some examples. We'll look at using renumbering to change room numbers very quickly, change doors very quickly, and some details. So first of all, why? Why does this tool exist? Well, renumbering multiple items in Revit can be very tedious and time consuming. If you've ever had to do it, I know you're kind of probably rolling your eyes just thinking about having to do it. And then it's likely to be required multiple times throughout the project. Just because you fix it one time doesn't mean you're not going to have to fix it again. It doesn't mean somebody's going to change something and it's going to be required to renumber everything all over again. And it's a very manual process. So you usually have to do it one by one. And Revit doesn't allow you to have there's certain objects in Revit that are not allowed to have the same number or mark value. And so in those cases, you have to go track down that one that has the number, change it to something else, go back to the one you want to change to that number, and keep doing that. And you're likely to run into that multiple times throughout the entire thing. So if you're renumbering rooms or doors throughout a huge project like a hospital or a hotel, this can be very tedious, very time consuming, and take up a lot of your project time, your valuable time that you could be spending using on design, using to get other things done. So that's where this renumbering tool comes in. So it's part of the Revit Express tools offered by CTC. It's part of their BIM project suite, and it's actually one of the free tools in the suite. So if you guys haven't already purchased this package, or if you're interested in trying the tools out, they do offer a 14-day free trial. And what that does is it will download the entire suite for you, and you will have access to all of the tools for 14 days. And then following those 14 days, the free tools will continue to work. Renumbering is one of those free tools. So at the very least, if you don't like the entire suite, you can still keep this tool at the end of your trial and it'll continue to work for you. This tool makes renumbering rooms, doors, details, and even other things extremely fast and extremely simple. It has the ability to auto swap. So in those cases where you can't have two objects with the same number, it will rectify that for you by automatically swapping those values so that you don't get those errors or those warnings telling you that things have the same value. And then it even allows you to use alphanumeric numbering if you wanted to. So if you weren't actually using numbers, you were using letters, you can do that. Or you can add separators, suffixes, prefixes, things of that nature. So let's actually jump into Revit and I will show you guys the tool itself. When you've installed the package, you'll have this tab up at the top that says CTC software, and you'll have all your packages installed. The different colors represent different packages. So you'll see here the purple is the BIM batch suite, blue is the BIM manager suite, and green is the BIM project suite. And all of these suites all have that same 14-day free trial. Pauline asks if the webinar is being recorded. It should be. Marketing usually records these, and they will actually post it to our YouTube channel in a couple of days, and send out an email to those who registered. So you should be able to have access to it in a couple days at least. But as I was saying, all of those packages all have the same 14-day free trial. And what you'll notice here is some of these tools have a lighter color. The lighter color are your free tools. So as you can see, renumberings on my free tools, the light blue over here, also free, and the light purple. And you can actually kind of customize this layout a little bit. So yours, once you've installed it, may not look exactly like mine. You can actually use the suite settings for your suite you've installed, and you can hide tools that maybe you don't use very much. You can also make it so that it has them kind of grouped under a single ribbon button, but once you do those, you'll have to restart Revit for those changes to take place. I like keeping these up here where I can see all the tools so that I can quickly grab them, saves on clicks. But sorry for getting off on that tangent there, but I digress. We can come down here into, you see I have just an elementary school project here. Basic, I've placed some VAV boxes, put some room tags, door tags, etc. So I'll open the renumbering tool. And it's pretty straightforward. You have your typical, as with all the CTC tools, you'll have your button up here for the tool. A lot of these are the same buttons just across the top here. Your options where you can customize the tool, tell it that you want it to stay in the same place. So if you move it off to another screen, when you open it, it'll always open on the other screen. You can tell it to give you the prompt before you renumber the same element more than once. Skip during letters, or yeah, skip letters, skip the following letters during increment. This looks like there might be a bug in their development. Let's see if that happens when I open it again. Yep, so it looks like these are supposed to go with these. I will actually reach out to them and see if they will fix that. But you've also got your help where you can get things like the user guide, videos that'll link to their CTC channel on YouTube. You can request certain features, so if there's something that you want, something that comes up, you can send this directly to them, and it'll help. They compile a list of features that users want. You can report bugs, like I was just seeing the options. It'll take you to a website where you can report that bug. You can contact support directly. And then you've got your about, so this will tell you about the package that you've got in, the version you have, so on and so forth. And then of course you've got an exit button to close the tool. And a lot of these buttons are still here across the top as well. So if you come down here, you've got these different tabs. So for rooms, areas, spaces, doors, and grids, and detail numbers, there's a very specific way that objects are tagged and numbered. And so they have their own tab because the process is different for them. You've also got this general tab over here at the end, and this will simply renumber the mark value that many items in your Revit project will have. This is good for things like VAV boxes, equipment, things like that. And we'll do some of that in the demonstration later on in this presentation. But you've got your rooms, you can tell it how you want to prefix it. So if you've got a certain section of the building you call A, or maybe you've got multiple buildings in a project and you prefix the room with some kind of abbreviation for that particular building, you can add that there. You can specify how you want to start that sequence. So I know on a lot of projects that I've worked on, we usually do a 3-digit number, and we'll do it hundreds, where the first number represents the floor. So for the first room on the first floor, it would be 101. The first room on the second floor would be 201. But you can do it however that you want to. You got the option to do a separator. So the separator will come in between each one. So if we do, say A, start the sequence with 101, use a separator of a dash, and then say we do a suffix of, I don't know, ES for elementary school. Excuse me. So while you go through, it will automatically renumber these starting with 101, so it'll be A-101-ES. So if you're using the same kind of separator throughout the entire naming convention here, you would use the separator. Now, if you're using maybe a dash and a period, maybe some different combinations of things, you wouldn't want to use the separator. There's actually one little trick you can do. So let's say if you were doing prefixes A dot, right, if you were doing A dot 101 and then you wanted a dash before the suffix, that would be, sorry, not the separator. You would actually put that down here. And so it'll add this string of characters in front of this, and then this string of characters behind this. And then you would just not use the separator. Pauline asks if we would like to use the room name as the suffix. Is that an option? As far as I'm aware, you would not be able to do that, simply because each room has a different name. But say, for example, that a lot of these in this elementary school are just called classroom. I could make it say classroom and only renumber those. But it doesn't have a way to automatically detect the room name and add it to the end. It's just a string of text here, and it's going to apply it to all of the ones that you click on. You've also got these boxes down here where you can increment the sequence with a constant suffix. Excuse me. So if I had one here, if I don't check that box, it's going to continue to count up. Or, I'm sorry, I had that backwards. If I make it 1, it's only going to put 1 on all of it. But if I check this box here, it'll start to count the suffix just like it's counting the sequence. And then you have the option to turn on or off the auto swap room number. You may not want to do that if you have rooms that are already a certain number and you want them to stay that way. You may want to turn that off. But if you do leave that off as you go to renumber, you will see those errors where it tells you, or those warnings where it tells you that they have the same number, which that can be frustrating for certain things like details where it won't actually let you override that and it forces you to make those changes. The areas and the spaces work exactly the same as the rooms. And then you've got doors, they're a little bit different. You have the same option to do prefixes, and you can sequence the number. So as you go click, click, click through, it'll just count up. You can also do that increment sequence with constant suffix. Excuse me. Or you can go ahead and do a room-based numbering. Revit has the ability to detect what room that the door is swinging into or out of. And you can use this tool to automatically number the doors as you click through based on that that parameter. So you can select to or from room, and you can even select the room phase. So maybe in one of your phases, a room gets renamed, or say a wall gets knocked out and a room gets combined. You can specify whether you're doing the existing demo, if you have a demo phase, or new construction. And then you can also do the separators, suffixes, and auto swap those numbers. You can even do grids, renumber grids automatically, or somewhat automatically as you click through. So again, so you don't get those warnings that tell you they've got the same grid number. You can also make it so it changes the sequence and it maintains all like characters. But it's the same kind of stuff here. Then you've got your detail numbers. Same, works the same as the rest for the most part. It's just the way that it works in Revit, what detail of the parameter that it needs to change. Then of course you got your general tab. Again, works very similar to the rest of them. It's just changing the mark parameter, which we actually have access to as well. So with that, let me actually show you guys the tool in action. So I've just arbitrarily numbered these rooms as they were provided to me. Counted up, you can see that we've got 4 digits. In some places, there's 3 in others. They don't really kind of follow any kind of order. But I know this is the main entrance, so we'll start here. And this is on the first floor, so I'm going to want to start my sequence with 101 for first floor, first room. I don't necessarily need a separator or a suffix, or really even a prefix, but I do want to auto swap so I don't hit any of those problems. If I hit the renumber button, you'll see it only lets you select the room. You can't select anything else. And so it's really easy to not have to tab through and grab the specific room, since it's the only thing it'll let you click on. You'll see if I click on it, room number updates, and it's just going to count up however you click. So if you really wanted to, you come all the way over here and make this the next room number, but we're trying to kind of fix that problem. So we'll just go through here. Click on reception. I'll make this 103, 104, 105, 106, 107. And you can see how easy this is to renumber these rooms. I don't have to click on the room, go to the room number value in the properties. I don't have to click on the tag and then retype it out. I can just find the room and click on it. And it's just real fast. Once I hit escape, it'll close that tool. So now I can go back to working. And let's go ahead and correct those door numbers as well. So if I go doors, I want to do room-based numbering because there's some doors that are in the same area and I don't want them to have different numbers. You'll see it will also identify, like, for example, in this room, there's 2 doors, but they both belong to the same room. It'll add the A and the B, or if you want to do numbers or certain text, it'll identify that. It'll give them the same number, but add that suffix. So if we come through here, we'll just do room-based numbering, 2 room, or we'll do from room. If I hit the renumber button, see, automatically adds that A and B. That's from the corridor, so that one's weird. That's from 103, 104, 106, 107. And all it is it's clicking on the object. Click, 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 and it's all done. And you see again, it added the A and the B. Sorry about that. My throat is very dry today. Thank you guys for bearing with me. And you just keep going. The tool's activated as you need. Hit escape to turn it off. Now you can go back to working in your project. And so let's do some VAV boxes. This is another thing, not just for architecture. This is also useful for MEP, civil, structure. Pauline says, let's say cameras. I actually don't have any cameras in this project, but it would also work for those. But it will be kind of a similar process as to what I'm showing. As you can see here with the tool open, it kind of has its own window. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be closed. I can switch around the project, I can work on it and leave this open the entire time. So for this example, I've just kind of placed some VAV boxes around the room. And so let's say I kind of want to match the rooms that they're going to, so that for maintenance, it's easier to find those boxes because they'll be in the room the same they'll be numbered the same as the room. So I can start my sequence with 101, since first floor, first room. I personally like to start my mechanical equipment with kind of an abbreviation of what the equipment is. And this is, you'll find this pretty standard across a lot of engineering firms. So for this example, I'll start my VAVs with VAV dash, and then we'll just continue the sequence with the 101. And of course I want to auto swap so that I don't end up with VAV boxes with the same numbers. I'll start the renumbering tool. And then again, it's just a matter of clicking all the way down. And so as you can see here, this will actually renumber this one 103. That's not what I want. I can simply deactivate the tool and then start at the number that I do want to start at, adjust that and carry on. So even adjustments to the tools to correct things that are not necessarily how you want them to be, even those are quick. Now let's look at one more example of something you can do, detail numbers. This is one of the biggest pains because these are ones that will not let you have numbers that are the same. You can't even force it to let you do that. So if you've got a lot of numbers all the way through your project, or you've got a lot on one page, it's really annoying to have to go find that number, change it to something else, come back to that one that you started with, change it, and then keep going. You'll probably even run into that same problem again throughout this process. And I've seen different firms, they want to just rearrange the details so that they don't have to add a page. I've seen different firms do different things with their numbering sequence. For example, I see a lot of contractors like to do their numbering vertical from right to left because of how they flip the page open. When I was in HVAC design, we always did ours from left to right down the page. So we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whereas some firms, like the contracting firms I mentioned, they want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's just all about how they interface with the drawings. When I was in design, we didn't want to add pages. So we rearranged everything, tried to fit as much as we could on one page. But let's say, for example, these get moved around. I'm trying to fit as many on the page as I can, so they're trying to get kind of crammed in here. And I know I'm going to fill up this page with more. So Ooh, these look like they didn't get imported very well. Well, that's not important to this demonstration, but all we're worried about are these numbers here. So you see 2, 1, 5, 4, 3. They don't really go in the order that they should be in. So let me go ahead and I'm going to start the sequence with 1 and turn on the auto swap detail so we don't run into those problems. I'll hit renumber. Simply just a matter of click, now it's a 1, click, now it's a 2, 3, 4, 5. And now that, oh, I hit the wrong button on my keyboard. So now everything's been renumbered. And then maybe, you know, a couple issues down the road, now we're at 95% construction documents. And so we rearrange things again. Use the tool to renumber and make this a faster process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All done. Everything's been fixed. So I hope you can see how this this tool really speeds up that process. Just these items that I've demonstrated to you, you know, that could take a couple hours. I've done all of them in roughly 15, 20 minutes while explaining this tool. And that really is all that there is to the renumbering tool. To just kind of conclude everything and wrap everything up in this nice package, we'll reiterate, you know, it makes the renumbering process much faster. It works on rooms, doors, details, even items that just have generic mark values. We've got that auto swapping tool, and so that makes that process way less frustrating. You don't spend the hour renumbering everything only to be hit with that cannot have the same number. Now we got to go track down that number to fix that. Auto swapping makes that way less frustrating. And then the tool even allows for you to add the prefixes and suffixes in its automatic process. So you don't even have to go back and add the VAV for VAV boxes or the A dot for rooms or anything like that. But that really is all there is to that tool. It's fairly simple, pretty straightforward. If you guys want to take down my contact information, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me. But at this time, if any of you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them right now. Okay, well, if nobody has any additional questions, I hope you guys can see the value in this. Be sure to go check out that free trial and try this tool out for yourself. I use it very often and I love it, as well as several of the other free tools are very useful. Again, feel free to reach out to me or any of our other staff here at ATG. Make sure to subscribe, like, all that good stuff. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and we post videos regularly, as well as some blog posts for different topics. There's some good stuff out there. Thank you guys again for your time, and have a good rest of your week.